Boker Tov. Today's daf is Daf Yomi קידושין we learned for a fortunate husband Rumen Yosef Zviel and Chaim Michal. Near the top of the page, Rav Adaini Machlokas, the second line. Yesterday we had a Machlokas between let's say Rav Yossi and Rav Meir, who both held that a Makadosh Bechalko Benka, if a Kohen is Makadosh an Isha with the share, if he gets from Kachim Kachim or from Kachim Kalam, the Chaz of Ashok, or if he Yisrael's Makadosh an Isha with the meat that he gets from the Kachim Kalam. In either way, he's not Mukadeshes. Why? Because he's Zocha B'Shulchan Gavoa. When he's eating the food, he's not eating his own food. He's eating God's food. He's entitled to eat, but he's not entitled to keep it and use it as his own possession, Mekadosh and Isha with it. That's what they said. Rabbi Yehuda, he was upset that Sumchas, the Talmud of Rav Meir, broke into his yeshiva after Rav Meir died, and therefore Rabbi Yehuda gave a different opinion. He said if you're Mekadosh with the meat of Kachim Kachim or Kachim Kalam, Rabbi Yehuda said that Rabbi Yehuda says Mekudeshes, she is Mekudeshes. So the Gemara at the end of the page said Rabbi Yochanan said, well, they took a vote and Rabbi Yehuda was outnumbered, and therefore he retracted his opinion and he went like Rav Meir and like Rabbi Yossi that you can't be Mekadosh Nisha with the meat of Hegdish. But Rav says in the second line on Nun Gimel, Rav says that Machlokas, no, he wasn't overwhelmed with the vote. Rather, the Machlokas still stands. Now the Gemara says, it's likely like Rabbi Yochanan that pardon?
The skins. He wouldn't be able to be Kaddish. They're in skin.
That's right. With the hides, right? The hides are able to keep. Correct. That's a good point. And that's not considered kachim kachim though. The hides are not considered kachim kachim. Once the animals can shecht it, and you did shchita kabbalah chazrika, and they get to keep the hide, they can make a shirt out of it. They can do whatever they want with it. Right.
But Thomas Panim doesn't come this the shukim and the
yeah, right. Now that's what Meir and Rabbi Yossi's opinion. Or Rabbi Yochanan says that even Rabbi Yehuda was moda because he was outnumbered. They took a vote, he was outnumbered. Rav says it's a machlokas, that Rabbi Yehuda did not retract his opinion. Now the Gemara says in the third line on Nun Gimel, it's like Rabbi Yochanan, meaning that Rabbi Yehuda retracted his opinion. And at the end of the day, everybody held that you cannot be Mekadosh Isha with the meat of Hegdish. How do we know that Rabbi Yehuda retracted his opinion, and he also agrees that you don't really get a share of the food. It's not yours to Mekadosh Isha, but you can eat it, and that's it. How do we see this? I'm Rabbi Kos Rabbi Yochanan Staber. The time we learn the following brayso in Menachos. So you can't say, listen, we're all Kohanim here. I'm on a meat-free diet. I'll take the mincha, I'll take the flour, the flour offering, and I'll eat that, and you eat the meat. In other words, we're dividing it up. Mine's worth $10, yours worth $10. Well, you take $10 worth of meat, I'll take $10 worth of it. Can't do that. Ain't cholkim, because Talmud says any mincha that you bake in an oven, the chol b'nei Aaron tiyeh. It should be for everybody. Nobody gets a share individually. Everybody gets to eat it. There's nothing, you don't own any part of it. Everybody gets to shake a share. It's like a kiddush in which everybody can eat. So I might think, fine, maybe you can't split. I'll take a mincha, you take the meat. Because if you're poor and you can't afford a zevach. A zevach means an animal which is shechted with a sakin, with a chalav. If you're poor, the next stage is you go to on certain karbonos where if you're in poverty, you're allowed to make a cheaper carbon. You go from meat an animal offering to a bird offering, not to a mincha. So there, maybe you say you can't divide up or share or say, I'll take mincha, you take the animals. Because mincha doesn't take the place of an animal offering a zebach. But maybe birds, mincha flour offering against birds you could. If you can't afford the birds, you can't afford an animal, and you can't even afford the birds, then you go down to a flour offering in certain karbanos. So maybe since it takes the place of them, maybe you could say, okay, you eat the birds, I'll eat the mincha. Again, the pasuk could have just said all minchas. There's different kinds of minchas. There's minchas which are baked. There's minchas which are like in a marcheshes, a frying pan. The chol b'nei Aaron. Why do you have to mention all these different kinds? tell you these are extra words to teach me that in none of these cases do you really have a share that you own and you could exchange for something else. Rather, you're entitled to eat, and that's it. Kol nas mechesh is a chol guarantee for everybody. Fine. Maybe you can't divide up or exchange my mincha for a bird. I'll take the minchas, you take the birds. Because birds are blood animals, whereas the carbon of a mincha is simply flour. It's an inanimate object. But maybe you should be able to make birds against animals. You take the animals. I don't want the red meat. I'll just take the birds, which is less like poultry, whatever. I mean, those birds are really not what we call poultry. Those are doves and benayona, whatever, doves and pigeons. But at least maybe that I could do shalol. Both kinds are blood animals. Talmud lomer al machbad. Again, an extra pasuk telling me on a machbad, on a baking pan. Machbad is like more of a flat. It's sort of like a convex pan, which is different than a marcheshes. Marcheshes is a frying pan where it's deep and it's got oil, and the oil sits there and it's very soft. The machbad, the oil runs off and it's burnt off by the fire, and you wind up like a harder type, like a pita type of bread. So I have an extra pasuk on machbad. Could have just said all menachos. Says all these extra words are teaching you. You can't split up. You don't own it to say, I'll take my share in this. You don't have a share. You're entitled to eat. You don't really have a share. Everything birds against animals, because the birds are, how are they slaughtered? With Malika, with the Kohen's right thumb nail, his right thumbnail, that's how he did it. So the mice of the shlita is done with his nail, and animals are shechted with a knife, with a challah. But maybe I should be able to split because they're both done by hand. Flour offerings are all by hand. There's no knife used in a flour offering when you take the kmitz, etc. So maybe animals and birds I can't mix with menachos, but I could take one mincha, you take a different mincha. Again, the whole mincha blue of Hashemen, the whole bnei Aaron. All minchas mixed with oil for all bnei Aaron. Again, these are extra words. It's not from the mashmos of the extra words, but could have just said all minchas go to everybody. Why do you have to say call v'chol nasev marcheshes v'al machabat v'chol mincha b'lo v'shemen? Okay, maybe I can't do a dry one like a machbat, which is on a baking pan. I can't take. I'll take the baked ones, and you take the fried ones. Marcheshes, the fried one, because the fried one is soft. It's sitting in oil. And this is harder. The oil runs off. I'll be a chokum machbad. Can I get machbad? But maybe a baking one versus a baking one. You take this one. We'll split it up. I'll take mine in this machbad flour offering, and you carbon mincha, and you take yours from that one. In other words, we're going to figure out. I'll take $5 worth of this, and you take $5 worth of that. Or marcheshes can I get marcheshes, or a fried one versus a fried one. Because they're both the same kind. Either they're hard or soft. Right? Or a dry one. Again, it's an extra word. The whole bnei Aaron tia. All minchas, you don't have a share in them. All kohanim are allowed to eat if they want, but they don't own a share. They can't take a share and say, okay, I'll take mine in this, and you take yours in this, making deals. They don't own it. Lo yachloku. I may think that's what kachikashim, which mincha is a kind of kachikashim. Maybe kachim kalam, which what is, as we said, is certainly before shchita is owned by the person bringing it, right? Sort of own it. Maybe you should be able to share. If you're marking something, you should be able to sell your share in this carbon. Can I get another one? The end of that pasuk says, the samachle imal toda. Toda is a carbon. It's kachim kalam. It's kind of shlomim. So there also we have the same idea that everybody's entitled to it equally. You don't own anything. Shem chotim kachim kachim. Just like you don't have a share in kachim kachim. Kachin chotim kachim kalam. You don't have a share in kachim kalam. Ish. What does ish teach me? The word ish teaches me also ish cholik afilu balmum. A man, a kohen, gets a share, even if he's a balmum, that he can't do the regular avoda, but he's entitled to eat. They did certain work there. Rashi brings down how they used to take the worms out of the wood, make sure that the wood didn't have any worms, mafshitin, and they're allowed to skin the animals and cut them and shech. They're allowed to do certain things as long as it's not an avoda. Shechita is not an avoda because it's kosher bazar. So I might think that that each chol, even a balmum bein a cotton chol, like each excludes a cotton if he's underage. I feel tam, even if he is not a balmum, he doesn't get a share. Again, what he means over here is you get a share. Everybody's entitled to a share, but they're not. They don't own a share that they can trade one for another. What does all this have to do with us? Because this is the medrash in Vayikra, but medrash in Vayikra, right, which is the Sifra, Stam Sifra. Who's the author of that? Rav Yehuda. Who come the less made in Chaluk B'Klal. He says they don't have a share that you don't have a share that you can exchange this for this. I'll keep this, you keep that. Shmami no. So you see, the Rav Yehuda also retracted his opinion, and he holds like Rav Meir and like Rav Yossi that when it comes to kachim meat or a mincha for that matter, either way, it's kachim kalam or kachim, you cannot be mekadosh an issue with it. Amar Rava, Rav Milotanya. What about Rav? We said in the second line of this page, Rav said Adayin is machlokas. Rabbi Yochanan said that what they took a vote, Rabbi Yehuda was outnumbered and he retracted his opinion. But according to Rav, no, he wasn't outvoted, and the machlokas stands. Rav Meir and Rabbi Yossi on the one hand say that you can't be mekadosh an issue with the meat of kachim or mincha for that matter, the flour of kachim, and Rabbi Yehuda says you can. So you just proved from the Sifra that Rabbi Yehuda retracted. Didn't we learn a brisa like Rav? It says it's still machlokas. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda would say you could be mekadosh, but time we learn Snuim Moshe Mesyadeim. The Snuim, the modest people would not. By the Rashi says in the right first of the while that's Rashi speak about the lechem aponim, that for 40 years that Shimon Tzaddik served, there was a bracha in the lechem aponim. If you ate a little bit, you were full, and if you took a kazai, sometimes it was too much, you couldn't even eat it. Afterwards, there was like a curse in the lechem aponim, and whoever took even double the amount would not be satisfied. So it says with it, the modest people withdrew. They didn't even try to get anything because they said it's not going to help them anyway. They're not going to get any anod of eating it because it was a curse on the food. And the gargaran, the ones who were chazerim, the pigs, the gluttons, cholken, they took a share. Most of the modest people didn't bother taking anything. Gargarim cholken. So you see that they did share in it. As they took one share, can I get another share? Says my cholken cholken. Doesn't mean that they were entitled to shares that they could exchange. It means that they grabbed it. Where he grabbed his share and he grabbed somebody else's. They called him a robber, the son of a robber. Until he died because he was a crook. He stole. Michael, we see from the pasuk that Chamson is a lotion of stealing and robbing. El pasuk says in Tilim, Elokai palteni miyad rasha. O Lord, save me from the hand of the evildoer. Mikaf ma'avel v'chometz, from the hand of the sinner and the robber. Rabbi Mehoch, another pasuk says, Limdu heitev dirshem mishpat ishru chamotz. Right, learn to do good, seek proper judgment. Ishru chamotz, straighten out the person who has been robbed, who's been stolen from. So you see the lashon of chametz from there. But the point is that we don't really see a brisa like Rav, because when it says gargar cholken, doesn't mean that they took a legitimate share, that they were entitled this share for that share they could exchange, but rather they stole it. Now that's as far as the first part. The Mishnah we talked about three things. We catch an issue with kachim meat, and we said no, you cannot. We come out that everybody agrees with that. Then we had a machlokes. What about ma'aser sheni? Ma'aser sheni, Rav Meir holds it's mum and gavoa, and you can't be kaddish issue with it whether it's shogeg or mezid. Rav Yehuda holds it's not mum and gavoa, but the shogeg you're not mekadosh issue with it. Why? We'll see, because it was like a mekach tosas. We'll see how it days. But mezid kiddush. But what's the svara? Why Rav Meir, who we pass like Rav Meir when it comes to ma'aser sheni, that it's mum and gavoa, and you cannot be mekadosh issue with it whether it was b'shogeg or mezid? Where do you get this from? It says the ma'aser sheni ben shogeg ben mezid location Rav Meir, Rav Yehuda meshogeg kiddush, mezid the shogeg location mezid kiddush. But the Ram is really going on Rav Meir that we pass like him, that you cannot be mekadosh issue with ma'aser sheni under any circumstances. Shogeg or mezid, it doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. Just like the meat of Ekdish doesn't belong to you, ma'aser sheni doesn't belong to you, and therefore you can't be mekadosh issue with. Where do we get this from? Amar Rav Braid, the Rav Mishmei, the name of Gemara, meaning that was the tradition that they had in the base medrash. Rashi says, Kach Nikra Gemara V'Shkur B'nei base medrash. Pasuk says, V'chol Masar Oretz Mizera Oretz, the miser of the land from the seed of the land, the Priya Eitz, Lashem Hu Kodesh Lashem. It says Kodesh Lashem, right? Like, and it sits Azov, right? It's Kodesh Lashem. It says, the Pasuk says, the Priya Eitz Lashem Hu. Says the Priyates, look at this, these words are important. The Priyates Lashem Hu, we'll see, we'll come back to in a few minutes. Kodesh Lashem, it's holy to God. Lashem Hu below the Kadosh B'Isha, it belongs to God. This Meiser is Kodesh Lashem, you got to take Yerushalayim and eat it there. Not only is it God's, but it's Kodesh for God, it's only for God. It's Lashem Hu, it belongs to God, and it doesn't belong to you, Kadosh B'Isha with it. So Ramar says, wait a minute, if that's the case, what about Trumas Meiser? Trumas Meiser, which is a tenth of a tenth Meiser and a Meiser that you give to that the Levi has to give to the Kohen. That's called Trumas Meiser. Sifra says, "Kain Turim Gamatem Trumas Hashem." There it also says Hashem. Mutanan Mekadosh B'Trumas B'Kudesh. It's Mekadosh Ishu with Trumas Meiser. You couldn't Mekadosh Ishu with it, even though it says Hashem. Then it says the Loksibei Lashem. It doesn't say. It says Trumas Hashem. It's called the Truma of God, but it doesn't belong to God. Lashem means it's his. It's truma for God, not for you. What about challah? Challah is a kind of truma. The sibba tiknu lashem. There it says lashem to God. But trumos mekudeshes. Any kind of truma, regular truma or challah, which is another kind of truma, is mekudeshes. Even though challah it says lashem, the answer is lo ksibei kodesh. It doesn't say kodesh. See, in the pasuk of Meiser Shem says kodesh lashem. In one pasuk you quoted, it just said Hashem, Trumas Hashem. By Challah it says Lashem, but it doesn't say Kodesh. What about Shvius? Or Shvius, let's say Yobel, who Kodesh Tielchem. Here it says Kodesh. Utanana Mekadosh Perish Shvius Mekudeshes. Where do we learn a Mishnah that if you Mekadosh Perish Shvius Mekudeshes, the Mishnah where the guy with our Mishnah with the previous Mishnah, which talked about the guy who Mekadosh 5 women, remember, with the Perish Shvius, it belonged to them, but it was Shemitah. And what did the rabbi say? That the 2 sisters are not mukudeshes, right? Because kol shenim zechse and basachas, or because it's קידושין shenim sum labia. But the 3 sisters are mukudeshes, right? Even though it's perish shvius mukudeshes, even though it says kodesh, the answer is lashem. It doesn't say lashem. We've proved now that it has to say kodesh and lashem. By Ma'aser it says kodesh lashem. If it only says lashem, like it says by Chal, it doesn't say kodesh. If it talks about shvius, perish shvius, it says kodesh, it doesn't say lashem. What about truma? Okay, what about this pasuk of Truma? Listen, look at this pasuk carefully. 2 lines from the bottom of the page of the Gemara. Kodesh Yisrael Lashem, Reishis Tavoso. Reishis Tavoso means that says Truma. It's the first of your produce, right? That sounds like Truma. And it says Kodesh Yisrael Lashem. Here it's Kodesh Lashem. Utanan Mekadosh B'Truma Kadeshes. We just said the mission before. Oh, the Trumos, it comes from Truma. So you are Mekudeshes, even though it says Kodesh Lashem. The answer is that's not speaking about Truma. The pasuk. Look at the pasuk again. Kodesh Yisrael Hashem, Reish Yisrael. So what does that mean? Bnei Yisrael is Kodesh. Kodesh Yisrael Hashem. Bnei Yisrael, Israel is Kodesh Hashem. It's like his Truma, Reish Yisrael. So, right? The answer is Ahu B'Yisrael. So we're talking about Bnei Yisrael. We're not talking about Truma. Okay, but if Yisrael is called Truma, right? So Reish Yisrael. And Yisrael says, and Yisrael's Kodesh Hashem. So it's like Truma. That means that Truma is also Kodesh Hashem. So the Gemara says, "V'lav memela shamas mina." Don't you see it also? If you say Bnei Yisrael's Kodesh Hashem, it's God's Truma. That means that Truma is Kodesh Hashem. Like Rashi says, "V'lav memela shamas." The top Rashi on the base. B'tmiya midachsiv Kodesh Yisrael Hashem. Reishis also kitruma heimlo. Bnei Yisrael is like God's Truma. V'shma mina Truma nam heavy Kodesh. The answer is Targuma Rabban Saba. Rabban Saba, this elder Rabban said, "Rav Amakra Uba v'yasi." What does it say? The pasuk says by Ma'aser Hashem. The first pasuk we quoted at the beginning of this Gemara, 10 lines from the bottom of the page, 8 lines from the bottom of the page. Maran milim barach b'rei Rava mishmei the Gemara. Chamas haaretz mizera haaretz v'priyes Lashem hu kodesh Lashem. It says who. It stays kodesh, not everything else. In other words, Truma might be kodesh Lashem, but it doesn't say who. When it comes to Meiser, it says it stays Meiser. Meiser Lashem, hu b'aviyasi Lashem. So by Meiser we have this rule. So therefore we paskin like Rav Meir when it comes to Meiser Sheni that it's all mamon gavo. It's not yours. It's like the meat of an animal, which is hegdish, is not yours. You can't be Mekadosh Nisha, and you can't be Mekadosh Nisha with Meiser Sheni under any circumstances, shogig or mezid. Okay. When it comes to hegdish, what does it mean hegdish? Hegdish means anything you're makdish medical bias. You took some medical bias. And when it comes to hegdish, if you're moel behegdish, right? If you're moel behegdish. Now there's no meila in the meat of the kohanim. You might say, why am I talking about meila before? The meat of the kohanim that they eat, or the meat of Israel, there's no meila. Once it's mutter to eat, there's no meila. Meila is only until you're ready. Once it's mutter to eat, there's no meila in the meat. As we said, it doesn't belong to you. You can't be Mekadosh Nisha with it. You're eating God's food, right? And Meiser Sheni is not really hegdish. But when it comes to hegdish, like Bedek Abayis, you could be moel. If you're moel, that means that you're chayiv to bring a carbon meila for sacrilege, and you have to pay another 25%, make it up to extra paying 125% of its value. That's all by hegdish, okay? But could you be Mekadosh Nisha with it when you're moel? So the Mishnah said, hegdish. It goes out of hegdish, exactly, it goes out. So behegdish, that's what we're talking about. Behegdish, b'mezid kiddush, b'shogeg lo kiddush div Rav Meir. So Rav Meir, when it comes to hegdish, Rav Meir says b'mezid it is kiddush because you were mol behegdish and you took out of hegdish. B'shogeg lo kiddush div Rav Meir. Rav Meir says if you did it b'shogeg by hegdish, it doesn't. It doesn't work. Why? We'll see why. Rav Yehuda says b'shogeg kiddush, b'shogeg you're moel, and therefore it goes out. The mezid lo kiddush. Rav Yehuda holds. If you did it on purpose, that namila, you make a chayv misa, but it doesn't become chulin, like you said. Lizit say hegdish. Now here we pass like Rav Yehuda. When it comes to actually passing like Yehuda, that b'shogeg you were moel, and therefore it became chulin, and you're mekadosh nisha with it, right? B'shogeg kiddush. The mezid, the meila doesn't work, therefore you can't be mekadosh nisha with it. It belongs to hegdish. It's not your money. In all these issues, in all these cases, where you talk about the meat of hegdish, or you're talking about meiser sheni, or you're talking about hegdish questions, does it belong to you or not? So here we pass like Rav Yehuda that b'shogeg the meila works, and therefore it went to chulin. When it comes to mezid, it doesn't work. Rav Meir, who we don't pass like, said just the opposite. Rav Meir said the hegdish b'mezid kiddush, there it does go out hegdish, b'shogeg lo kiddush. Why not? So here we're going to discuss this. Rav Yaakov, Shamas made Rav Yochanan. I heard from Rav Yochanan two things. Tarki. Shiggas Meiser to Rav Yehuda. We don't pass like Rav Yehuda when it comes to Meiser Sheni. But what does Rav Yehuda say over there? That if you took the Meiser Sheni b'mezid, then it is a good קידושין, right? That's what Rav Yehuda said. Rav Meir said it doesn't work either way because it doesn't belong to you. Rav Yehuda said b'shogeg kiddush b'mezid. If you did it b'mezid, the Meiser Sheni works. B'shogeg it doesn't work. That's what Rav Meir said. B'shogeg Meiser Sheni doesn't work. So he said, I heard two things from Rav Yehuda. Shiggas Meiser to Rav Yehuda, not Rav Meir, Shiggas Meiser Rav Yehuda, which doesn't work. Again, by Meiser Sheni, according to Rav Meir, nothing works. But according to Rav Yehuda, if you did it b'mezid, it does work. B'shogeg, it doesn't work. Again, the Shiggas Meiser Sheni of Rav Yehuda, who says it doesn't work, and the Shiggas Hegdish of Rav Meir, which also doesn't work. Right? Again, according to Rav Meir, hegdish b'mezid kiddush b'shogeg lo kiddush. Meila doesn't work there. Why not? So so I heard from Rav Yochanan the two things that don't work: shiggas meiser of Rav Yehuda that doesn't work, and the shiggas hegdish of Rav Meir that doesn't work. We saw in the Mishnah. Shnei me'enishim kedeshes b'am. It doesn't work in Kadosh Nisha. Now I heard these two things, right? Both those things. That's clear in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that, right? That the Shiggas Meiser of Rav Yehuda does not work, and not Mekadosh Nisha, and Shiggas Hegdish Rav Meir doesn't work. That's what the Mishnah says. But I heard from Rabbi Yochanan that there's two reasons for these two things. One, Chada Lefisheni Shirotza, because the woman doesn't want it. The reason it doesn't work is she doesn't want to accept קידושין under those circumstances. But Chada Lefisheni Shnei Moshe. And another one is the other reason is by the other one, the reason is that neither one wants it. I don't know which one is it. Rabbi Yehuda, when it comes to Meiser Sheni, who says that doesn't work, is that the reason why? Because the woman doesn't want it, or is it because they both don't want it, or is it the other way around? Shiggas Hegdish of Rav Meir that doesn't work. Shiggas Hegdish of Rav Meir doesn't work. Is that because the woman doesn't want it, and maybe by Shiggas Meiser of Rabbi Yehuda, there it's because they both don't want it. Rav Yomi of Shabima says Nechsen, and let's analyze it. Meiser, let's look at it. Meiser Sheni, when he's Makadosh Isha in Tel Aviv with Meiser Sheni, what does she have to do with it? She's got to schlep it to Yerushalayim to eat it. So Meiser lo nechala, she doesn't want it. Again, we're talking about Meiser of Rav Yehuda B'Shogeg, right? Meiser, according to Rav Yehuda B'Shogeg, doesn't work. According to Rav Meir, it doesn't work at all. Shogeg or it doesn't belong to you. But according to Rav Yehuda, that Meiser Sheni belongs to you. So why did it B'Shogeg doesn't it work? The answer is because she doesn't want to accept it under those circumstances. She doesn't know there was Meiser Sheni. Had she known it was Meiser Sheni, she wouldn't have accepted. I don't want to take Meiser Sheni and Tel Aviv. I'm not going to Yerushalayim with all this charedim up there. I got to go to Yerushalayim to eat it. Forget about it. So it was a mekach tos. It was a mistake. She accepted under a false premise. She thought she could eat it here. She found out she got to take it to Yerushalayim. She doesn't want it. So that's Rav Meir says, that's a Meiser. She's not having shum tircha d'orcha. She's got to schlep to Yerushalayim. The nickname of Melech. He doesn't care. I'm in Tel Aviv. I got some Meiser Sheni. You know what? Okay. I'm happy to marry you with this, and you got to schlep it to Yerushalayim. Yeah, there was I'd have to schlep it, right? I'd have to schlep it. So therefore, it's likely that when we talk about Rav Yehuda's Meiser Sheni, which again belongs to you, but why doesn't the קידושין work? Yeah, it's because she's not half. It's a mekach tos for her. Ella Hegdish, when it comes to Hegdish, why does he say that according to Rav Meir, talking about Rav Meir's Hegdish, where he did it B'Shogeg, it doesn't work. She gets Hegdish Rav Meir, which Anisha doesn't work. Why doesn't it work there? They didn't realize it was Hegdish. Neither wants to be Michal Hegdish. You're over in Me'ilah, right? It's a carbon. Neither one of them, if they knew, as we're talking about the Shgaga of Hegdish, they didn't know it was Hegdish. He was Makdisher with some a board or something that he didn't realize his father had given to the base of Mikdash, and now he's Makadashor with this ring, let's say, a ring that he gave to the base of Mikdash, and he's being Mechalel now. And neither one would want to be Mechalel Hegdish. It's an Aveira. So therefore, neither one would accept it. Therefore, it's a toast on both their parts. So he says, so Rav Yirmiyah is saying over here that when Rav Yochanan said these two halachas in the Mishnah, according to Rav Shigas Meiser of Rav Yehuda and Shigas Hegdish of Rav Meir, that neither one works for Hegdish, one because she doesn't want it, one because they both don't want it. It's probably Meiser Sheni, she doesn't want it. He doesn't care. You have to schlep to Yerushalayim, right? He doesn't care. Hegdish, they both care. Neither one wants to be Mechalel Hegdish and be over an Aveira. That's what Rav Yirmiyah said. Rav Yaakov, who mentioned it, Rav Yaakov said, I heard from Rabbi Yochanan these two halachas of Shigas Meiser of Rav Yehuda and Shigas Hegdish of Rav Meir that the Mishnah said, according to those in both cases, she's not Mekadeshes. One because she doesn't want it. The other one because they both don't want it. I'm not sure which one's which. So Rav Yirmiyah says it's probably Meiser Sheni is the one that she doesn't want, and Hegdish neither one. Rabbi Yaakov says it could be the other way around too. Rabbi Yaakov Omer Ipcha Mistabra. Maybe it's the other way around. Milo equal and maybe can't you say Meiser? Elon again, right? Meiser Sheni, she doesn't want Elon Nechala Mishum Tichroch, she doesn't have to schlep Yerushalayim. Elu also Nechala Mishum Monsa Dorcha. He's responsible for it. When he gives her Meiser Sheni in Tel Aviv, is it worth anything? It's not worth anything in Tel Aviv. You can't eat it, can't sell it. Even if you exchange it for money, like take it for coins. So the coins have the kedusha now, not the Meiser. The Meiser Sheni is valueless there. He's responsible if anything happens on the road. Schlepping it from Tel Aviv to Yerushalayim, something may happen to on the road, and therefore he's responsible. Or if she loses it, she might say, "Hey, he married me for nothing, but nothing. He gave me this Meiser Sheni. Time I got to Yerushalayim, the goat that or the donkey that schlepped us there ate it up, and I didn't have anything out of it." So therefore, when it comes to Meiser Sheni, maybe neither one wants it to be. Maybe that's what it is. Again, it's a mekach tos, made a mistake, but it could be on both their parts. She doesn't want to schlep to Yerushalayim. He doesn't want the responsibility. He's got he has to ensure it that it'll get to Yerushalayim. Ela Hegdish, when it comes to Hegdish, she doesn't want to be Mechal Hegdish, right? She doesn't Mechal Hegdish. She doesn't want to accept Hegdish to be part of this transaction. Okay, listen, Hegdish, okay. It's true that he's that maybe he's over on Meila, and maybe it's the only way he can be Mekadasher. He doesn't have anything right now. Rashi says, even though he'll have to pay back Hegdish 125%, but maybe he doesn't have anything else. Guys, so you can see it either way. So again, the Mishnah is clear. The Rav Yehuda says when it comes to Meiser Sheni B'Shogeg, it doesn't work. But Meiser, it does work because I knew what I was doing. And she knew what she was doing, presumably. She knew she was accepting it. They knew what was going on. And according to Rav Meir, Hegdish doesn't work for Shogeg. But is the reason because both don't want it or one doesn't want it? That's not clear. According to Rav Meir, that Hegdish doesn't work, right? B'Shogeg. Rav Meir Chisda, Isha ain't miskadish mo. So if you can't be miskadish Isha with the money of Hegdish, was the money of Hegdish that you use, but would go out to Chulin. Again, when you machal, like you said, Avram, when you machalo the Hegdish, when you profane the Hegdish, it goes out to Chulin. So if she's not miskadeshes, would the money still go out to Chulin? And he'd have to pay Hegdish back for that, bring a carbon, etc. So would that happen? In other words, most what would happen there? So he answered him back. Rav Chisda says, if it didn't work, if she's not miskadeshes bo, so what did he do? He didn't do anything. If he gave the woman the money from Hegdish and it doesn't work to Mekadesher, so she doesn't own the money now, nothing happened to the money, so it didn't go out to Chulin. What What happens if he sold something? As he bought something with this money? Look at Chavis Rashi as Mamos Hegdish B'Shogeg L'Rameir. According to Rameir, that what? That Hegdish, if you made a mistake, if Hegdish, she gets Hegdish Rameir, which doesn't, not Mekadosh Nisha. Okay, so if you gave a woman, it wouldn't be Mechalit. What about if it wasn't a woman? You just took some money of Hegdish by mistake and bought something with it. Would the money go out to Chulin? Is that what you've done? Would it work? It doesn't work. In other words, you can't be machalo the money of Hegdish at all. And Rashi explains that according to Meir, so how is there me'ila of Hegdish? Only if you ate it, you consumed it. You took something of Hegdish, like some Hegdish meat that wasn't mutri, that there's me'ila would still be chal on it, and you ate it. If there was something that belonged to Hegdish and you ate it, that would be, let's say a non-Kohen ate it or something of that sort or whatever. Then there it would only be if you ate something that belonged to Hegdish. Let's say it wasn't a carbon. I'm not talking about a carbon meat that you could eat after Shechit Kabbalah or Chazrika. Let's say somebody donated cheese to the base of Mikdash, whatever. They're going to use cheese. They're going to give it to the Kohen Tibet Abayas, and you ate it. Then you're mold because it's gone. But if you took the money of Hegdish and spent it, according to this, Rav Meir would say it's not moil because it still remains Hegdish wherever it is. Esvei, is that really the case? That you can't be mechalo money of Hegdish, according to Rav Meir? Meir says if you did it b'shogeg, it's not, the meila doesn't take effect and you're not mechalo. Esvei, chenbani kabbalah bias. Here's the deal. A gizbar of Hegdish has money of Hegdish, and he gave it to a money changer to hold for him. And he wrapped it up, he bundled it up, it was all sealed. Okay, so if you did it in that case, that he sealed it because he doesn't want the guy to use it. So if the money changer now unraveled it, opened it and used it, so then the money changer was moil in it, not the gizbar. Okay, not the gizbar. If though he gave the money loose to the shulchani, well, the shulchani is going to use the money, he has to always make change, etc. So then it's the gizbar's fault. Because the gizbar effectively was moil over here because he put it in a situation. Let's say the gizbar gave some money to a balabayas just to hold for me. I'm traveling here, some Kaddish money. Keep it in your house. A regular person's house doesn't need to exchange, cash, etc. Today, everybody uses plastic or phones or whatever. They don't use cash so much. So a balabayas, if the balabayas then used that money, the balabayas was more, not the gizbar, because he didn't expect the balabayas to use it. What about a storekeeper? He's not a money changer, and he's not an owner of a house. He's not a regular person in a home. Here, sometimes he uses money, but in most of the cases, they buy on credit. Lishom, they write it down, right? Or they give credit, right? So what's the real rule? The machlokas. What about Chambani? Is he like a balabayas? In which case, the Chambani would be moel, like the balabayas, because the gizbar didn't expect the guy to use the money. So Rav Meir says that Chambani is like a balabayas. If Rav Meir, Rav Yehuda says no, Chambani kishulchani. He's like a money changer because many times he does have to make changes, selling stuff, buying stuff, etc. He has to make change. I don't look if the other marsav, the only machlokas is a Chambani like a shulchani, like a money changer, or marsav a Chambani kabalbayas, or is he like a balabayas in the sense that he's not expected to use the change, use the money, and therefore, if he did, it's the Baal Bais's fault, not the Gizbar. Everybody agrees in Hotzi Moel. If you did it, you're Moel. If you spent the money, you use it. Whoever's Moel. Is the Chavani Moel or is the Gizbar Moel? But if you spend, it's Mashmi Moel. So it's Mashmi. Even Rav Meir holds that money Hekdesh spent, if even B'Shogeg, we're talking about B'Shogeg, it does go out, it does leave its status, it becomes Chulin, and somebody was Moel. The answer, so you see Rav Meir holds that. The answer is no. Rav Meir Rav Yehuda Kamer. You could answer and say Rav Meir is only going according to Rav Yehuda. Liddi, Rav Meir says, even if you spent some Moel, because that remains Hegdish wherever it is. El Diduch, but according to you, that spending the money makes it go out of Hegdish and becomes Chulin, and you're Chayv and Ela, Odin Limias, at least be moted. The Chabani Kabbalavais, the Chabani is not a money changer, and he should be like the Balavais, and the Chabani should be Moel, not the Gizbar. But Amrlay, lo, Kishachani, I disagree. I say that a shopkeeper, a store, a makolet owner, a store owner, is he a money changer or is he more like a balabai? So they have this machlokas. But Rav Meir will still stay in this ground according to this. However, so that's what we're saying now. We're saying now it's not just in our mission where Rav Meir says that if you makadosh an isha b'shogeg with hegdish, that it's not mikudeshes. First of all, we pass on like review anyway. Review says b'shogeg or machid. It does the meila does help, and therefore you're makadosh isha with it. But according to Rav Meir, this is not makadosh isha doesn't mean that you can't even spend that money. You can't be more on that. Rav, so Rav says no. Chazarnu al kol stadim shel Rav Meir. We reviewed Rav Meir in detail throughout Shas, right? Even though we said in our Mishnah, Rashi says, "Come up, Pisha Sheni Rav Meir b'shogeg lo kiddush," not because he holds that hegdish b'shogeg it's not mischal, does not become profane, right? Not because of that, because we reviewed all Rav Meir shitas in Shas. V'lo matzinu, we never found that he says hegdish b'shogeg and mischal b'mezid mischal. We don't find that he holds b'mezid it's mischal and b'shogeg it's not mischal. Shogeg it's also mischal. In this case with the chenvani, you could also say Rav Meir holds that it is mischal. You don't have to say Rav Meir is going to contribute his opinion. No, the truth is that he holds that the hegdish b'shogeg, if you spent it, it could be mischal. We don't find that he says hegdish b'shogeg mischal. He holds that it's mischal either way. So what about in our Mishnah? If it's mischal, why isn't it a good קידושין by hegdish? If it's mischal, why isn't it קידושין? Mishnah saying b'kosnos kahuna shelo bala. We're talking about the kohanim shirts that have not been worn out. Those are still good shirts. But since they have to be able to be proud of, you can't expect the Kohen who's doing the avoda in the split second that he finishes the avoda to remove the shirt. He still had the shirt on, so maybe it warmed a little bit. The Torah wasn't given to ministering angels. Minister was given to people. Therefore, when these shirts were mukdash, when they were sanctified originally, they were sanctified with the understanding that if the Kohen has a little bit of hana, before he gets a chance to take off the shirt after the avodah to turn back in, to change into his street clothes, and he had a little pleasure from the shirt, it's b'shogeg that it's not machal, it's not profane. That's a special case of kasnos kuna. Take a look in the Rashi from the top of the page. Is not mischal. We reviewed all cases where Rav Meir held of Hilchos Hegdish. If you had Hanof from Hegdish, if you committed sacrilege, it's profaned either way. But let's know any time Rabbi Yochanan, not these reasons Rabbi Yochanan, the Rav Meir of these reasons Rabbi Yochanan, where Rabbi Yochanan said, you know why it doesn't work when he's Mekadosh and Isha with it, B'shogeg, because he's not happy and she's not happy and all that. No, that's nothing to do. Rav Yesh Mila B'mos. She could be Mo. You're keeping the Mo enough of the Chulun. And the reason in our Mishnah why you can't be Mekadosh and Isha with Hegdish, we're not talking about any kind of Hegdish like money of Hegdish or cheese of Hegdish. Umasnisin the Kani B'shogeg Lo Kiddush Amalon Eschal is speaking about why if it doesn't work, if it's Mischal, why you can't be Mekadosh and Isha with it, it becomes yours. Because it's Kunish Lo Bolo for Uin Lavoda. Because man shurim, as long as they're still fit for doing avodah in the base of Mikdash, ein meila b'shigagasan shelakach hogdashim and chila. When they were sanctified originally, were mukdash with the understanding lahanas ben shokin that b'shogeg they have a little enough before I got a chance to take off my shirt and put on my street clothes. As long as you don't have to come out in the reason they should be so fast that in a split second, like Superman, they can take off their shirt and put on their street clothes without in a split second. It doesn't work like the blink of an eye. It can't work that way. You got to, so you're going to have some pleasure from the Kohanim's shirts, let's say his tunic, whatever he's wearing. You're going to have some pleasure from there, even when he's not doing the avoda. So that avoda, that the hegdish b'shogeg is not mischal unless he had kavanah with mischal. He didn't have kavanah to do that. So if he didn't have kavanah to do that, it's not mischal, and that's why you can't do mekadosh nisha with it. When our Mishnah says, according to this, Rav is saying, and Mishnah says, according to Meir, that hegdish, even though we don't pass it from Meir, but he says hegdish b'shogeg lo kiddush or Meir, we're speaking about your makdash nisha when you're mekadosh nisha with this shirt of hegdish, right? And that because it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to hegdish. You had enough from it in this shirts of hegdish. Having enough from it is not machalit because it was given for that reason. That if you had a little pleasure before you got a chance to change, that's not machalit. But normally, if you had enough from hegdish, that you're moel, you have a carbon, you have to pay 125%, and the hegdish goes out to chulin and it becomes yours. All right, we'll pick a mirror tomorrow, Mr. Shem from the Toshma. Have a good day.
Good night. Good.